Hey, you know what? It's hot outside. Go get yourself a free Slurpee and tell them Sharpie sent you, and they'll give you one. They'll give you one on the house.
They still have them. They still have them in Omaha. I don't know. Do I see 7-Elevens in Lincoln? I'm not sure I do.
Yeah, I don't think we looked this up. I think the closest 7-Eleven is somewhere around the Kansas City area.
Oh, so not in Omaha.
No, but no, if you want to drive there, you can get a free Slurpee today, courtesy of me.
All right, I'm not going to drive down.
Yeah, there are no 7-Elevens in Omaha.
What's your go-to convenience store there in the lovely city that you live in?
I'm just whatever's nearby. I don't have.
No, come on.
Yeah,
I mean,
you don't have allegiance.
Hey, Mark Whitehead is not listening. You can say you stop or not.
You stop's fine. I lean a little bit now toward Casey's.
Yeah, you look like Team Casey's.
Yeah, because they have those cookie dough cups where they have like little balls.
Oh yeah, little chunks of cookies, like the cookie dough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's killing me. I mean, it's
good though.
It could ultimately lead to my downfall, my complete downfall. I try to keep it to 1 cup a week is what I do.
Now, do you take down the entire cup once you get it, or do you pace yourself throughout the week?
No, that's a good question. I try to eat about half of it and then put the other half in the fridge. For midnight snack.
There you go.
Yeah,
I got you.
So if I get up, I got to get up a lot because I'm an old guy, and then I just make my way to the fridge and have you take 1 or 2 with swigs of milk, and it's ungodly. Ooh. It really helps your night.
How many times a night you have to get up to go pee?
That's a personal question, Gary. I mean, sort of cross the line on that one.
Okay, then I will scale it back. I heard that you're a raw dogger.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I'm very proud of that. I think a better way to put it, a more appropriate way to put it, is I'm a sleeper on a plane. I sleep very well on planes.
Okay, for people that don't know, and I'll let you finish here, because this is a little bit of a new term.
Mm-hmm.
It is basically getting on a flight or a trip, and you're not eating food, you're not watching a movie, you're not doing any of that stuff. So can you raw dog a flight or a trip? And Sip, as a sleeper, appears that you have executed this very well.
Yeah, sometimes I won't even do when they bring around snacks and pop, I'll just sleep through that. And it really doesn't even bother me. In fact, sometimes I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ireland was, I raw dogged it to Ireland and Hawaii. I don't even really think about it. I don't think about it as a big deal because I'll sleep on a 6-hour flight for 4 hours.
How did you raw dog it to Ireland?
Did you take something before you got on the plane?
No, I don't even do that. I don't have to. And then the other part of it is I like to observe, and I don't like being buried in a movie that's usually a movie I'm not even interested in, or buried in like music. I like to observe and listen. So it's a lot of it's that too.
What's the best observation you've seen on an airplane when you were raw dogging?
It's usually related to like the stewardesses, not in a bad way, just their interaction, and the way they comport themselves. It's a lot of it oftentimes comes down to that.
Okay.
But just people watching in general on a plane is pretty interesting.
That is true. Even with earbuds in, you could do that, and it's still very entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's now shift to some football.
No.
I know this would be great because I got follow-up questions, but I know your time is limited. How we've seen with the Evan Cooper to John Butler potentially, and just need it to be official. And I think they're being they don't want to jump the gun before they announce something, before something signed, all that stuff. We've talked about, Matt Rule having a plan. But Sip, how do you think this affects Matt Rule, the person, that a guy that has been with him for a long time and is almost like another son to him is no longer going to be on his staff?
Great question.
Well, there's got to be an impact because of what you said. In fact, just by way of trying to be somewhat illuminating, if you're looking at that staff, it's Cooper and Satterfield that are really, really confidant to Matt. I would add Satterfield, Marcus, to that conversation. So they are, close. So yeah, it definitely has an impact. But I would say this, I think, and I don't know this, I haven't talked to Matt about it at all. He's on vacation. I think if you're in Matt's shoes, you can't let it have an impact. If it was April 11th, you could, but not July 11th. It's too close to the fact. I mean, it's too close to camp. You can't get derailed in any. You can't get emotional about stuff like that right now, or maybe you can for a little period, and maybe he did while it was going on a little bit, but that has to take a back seat to moving forward because you got a good defense and you got a lot of you have a good defense. You have a good coaching staff on that side of the ball, on both sides of the ball, but on defense, they're really good. And you can't let this derail you in any way. So I think you got to take the emotional part out of it. You largely have to do that in his shoes.
Well, and you made me think of, and with Gary's question there too, because I think it's a fantastic question it's at least part of this whole story that we haven't gotten into. The Tony White part of this as well, where you've got a highly respected defensive coordinator who's already been courted by other schools to be a head coach somewhere. People understand having him back is a huge plus for Nebraska, but he didn't have the same type of history with Evan Cooper that Matt Rule had. Good or a bad thing that Tony White also given, I mean, I know it's good because of the type of person and leader that he's shown to be, but as far as him not having that history with Evan Cooper, does that make it easier for Tony White to also be able to help this defense turn the page, move forward, given the time of the season where we're at?
Yeah, I would think so. I do think it would help in that regard. He doesn't have that emotional connection, so it doesn't have a history with him. But it did work last year. I mean, they played pass defense at a level, at least statistically, that Nebraska hadn't played since 2014, since Pelini's defenses. So it worked. But no emotional, not a big emotional connection. I think that that can be helpful. It's still a pain in the you-know-what, though. Yeah. I mean, it is. It's close to camp. Now there has to be, you bring in Butler, and I imagine he's here. And I want to say, because I hear from people that they get anxious about the fact that there's been no announcement. Don't be anxious. There's nothing. He's here. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's physically here. My guess is he is.
He was.
But it'll be announced. It's not. There's no snag. There's nothing to worry about. So if you're Tony White, it's an inconvenience. That's the best way that's the most, I don't know, softest way to put it. I'd say it's a pain in the ass, basically. That you gotta get this guy ready. You gotta help. Not that, I mean, Butler's a seasoned pro, 51 years old. He'll learn the defense probably pretty easily, but he does have to learn vernacular, and he does have to get he has to get familiar with personnel quickly, not just personnel in his room, personnel throughout the defense. That's a lot, and it's close. It's right on, and this is a critical season, and you got, there's pressure. This is fascinating. It's a fascinating development, really, to me. How are they going to manage this? It's a lot. It's a lot for John Butler. It's a lot for Tony White. It's a lot for the defensive staff in general, and the head coach has to manage it all.
Hey, I don't know the particulars, but can he spend any time before camp begins on the 31st with his defensive backs?
I think so. Okay. They're in OTAs. The kids are around.
Yeah.
I think they got 2 more weeks of OTAs, and you can spend a certain amount of time with them. Like I said, I can't say with 100% certainty that John Butler's here, but I'd be surprised if he's not. I mean, I think you got to get him going fast. He can. But I think a lot of it, Gary's just film. I mean, you're just watching.
Yeah, I'm not like on the field. I'm talking like in a room watching film, talking to guys, getting to know their strengths and weaknesses, and basically say, "Hey, my name's John," and the guy says, "Hey, my name's Tommy." I mean,
Yeah,
those kind of things.
stuff has to happen like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you always got to remember in this conversation that we have attached expectation to that defense, and it shouldn't derail our expectations or their expectations. But it's not an automatic. It came at a very awkward time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's better than Wager. You know, Wager happened, I think, on July 28th, last July 28th,
Yep.
the arrest and all that went down. This is different. It's different because there's 5 starters in the secondary. There's 25 plus guys in that room. There's not a coach that's like, is it Josh Martin that had experience coaching tight ends at SMU and at ASU on a full-time basis. Cooper didn't really have that guy like Josh Martin waiting in the wings. So this was a different situation. If Cooper did have that guy, I don't know who he is, and I would say this about Cooper: Cooper was very aggressive alpha. It was his room; it wasn't anybody else's. So yeah, all that adds up to challenge.
Sip, I know you wrote about the ability to pivot in this situation. Now, whether it's Bill O'Brien's connection to Matt Rule, Sean Padden, who played for John Butler, whatever the connection is, what does it tell you about getting a guy that was very open on why he left the Buffalo Bills of wanting to run a defense and feeling like he's at his best when he's in charge? What does it tell you about the situation that he's coming into that Matt Rule and Sean Padden and Tony White, whoever, was able to really get him excited about what he could experience in Nebraska and what it could lead to?
Well, I mean, he started the conversation with the fact he wasn't working and he wasn't drawing a paycheck. So Nebraska gave him an opportunity. But I think, everybody knows where that conversation is going. He's a 51-year-old who wants to be a defensive coordinator. And if the defense plays like we expect, and Tony White gets more opportunities, Tony White at some point is going to say, look, I can't just keep turning down jobs, head coaching jobs. If he has opportunities again, which is, it's a very plausible scenario, right? Then I think you have your next defensive coordinator. I don't even think it's a question. I mean, I obviously think Dvorak's a good coach. I love Terrence Knight. He's my favorite coach on the staff. But those guys don't have the resume that John Butler has, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
Butler, if the secondary plays well, the defense plays well, he'll be in a great position. There's no guarantees. And my guess is that there's no guarantee here from the mouth of Matt Rule, but he'd be in a great position. And that's, in that world, in the coaching world, that's a lot of the game, is just positioning yourself for those types of jobs.
Hey, the people involved on both sides, and I'm talking about 1890. And we know Troy Dannon, when he got here, embraced it, and coaches have embraced it, and they've worn the gear. And we've had 2 things happen this week with 1890. The announcement and the partnership, where a lot of people went, oh, I thought they were the collective. That happened the other day. And then yesterday, what I think is a great idea is the NIL practice. Is there something more significant with 1890 discussion this week than we've already had, knowing how important they are?
Is there something more significant? I don't know what that would be, Gary.
So is this like, we know 1890 is important, but it seems like this has been the week to, okay, let's take the next step where we're going to bring in the normal fan to pay $25 to watch a practice. We're going to start doing more. But when we talk Nebraska athletics, it's almost like in the next breath, 1890 is involved. I don't know. Maybe it was just coinciding with more stuff this week, but it just seems like it might be intentional.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess my answer to your question is it's sort of a long time coming. But there's this sort of public acknowledgement, I guess, or that 1890 is Nebraska's collective. If you followed it closely for the past year, you knew that was the case. Now, a lot of people didn't follow it closely, and there was confusion. And people would ask me about, media members would ask me about it, radio shows would ask me about it. Is there a problem? I mean, what's the problem? 1890 is a thriving enterprise that acts responsibly and is incredibly helpful. It's one of the top 25 collectives in the country. And maybe you might even push it a little higher than that. It's like top 20, maybe top 15. They're well-heeled. They're well-organized. They're incredibly fortunate to have the Pede family and to have someone like Matt Davison attached to it. I would always be like, what are we talking? What are the issues that you're trying to make up here? Because there's no issue. Now, some of it was confusion created by the AD intentionally. I don't know why. I mean, I have my theories on why that was the case, but it doesn't matter now.
Mhm.
1890 is the enterprise, and it's Nebraska's. What I always say, what I've been saying for a year, is the least of Nebraska's problems is its collective.
Yeah.
The least of Nebraska's problems would be how it's handling this new world from that standpoint. That's the least of their problems. Some people would try to make it a problem. I would be like, no, they got a lot of other problems, a lot of other challenges besides that. So yeah, I'm glad it's all unfolding. It feels a little late.
What's your expectation for this event? We talked about. I mean, if you were able
Are
to,
you going to pay $25 Sip to go?
You're not going to be
Yeah,
credentialed.
we're paying 25. Yeah,
Okay.
On 3 is paying money.
Is that Is that a write-off?
I suppose it is. I don't know, but I'm not an accountant. But they, I think it's great. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah,
because Gary and I are older guys. I don't think it's ever happened.
No, they did. It was a free event. Remember in 21 in the spring, because the people had been shut out for COVID. They had a open practice in the spring when Scott was the head coach, but it wasn't you. I think you just reserved a ticket.
Yep.
Okay. So now, paying 25. What is the expectation for the crowd? And I get various answers from people. I mean, Sean Callahan thought 5,000. On the show today, Bill Bush thought it would be closer to 20,000. I'd probably say in between there somewhere, like 10 to 12. But I don't know what to expect.
I think I don't.
We've been talking bigger numbers.
Maybe as you get closer, it gets a little bit larger. I don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah, maybe there's also I might be overlooking the fact that people are like, I ain't paying $25, so that might push some people away. But I love the idea. I think it's a great idea. That's going to grow, and I wouldn't be surprised if publicly you hear this a lot more, because donors and people that have donated to the NIL can go to a practice and it's just kind of their own. But now this is public. I love the idea, Sip. I think this is the start of many things like this.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. The fans deserve. I don't mind saying that. The fans deserve things like this. And I would think they'd be intrigued to go watch Dylan. Right? Just watch Dylan. I mean,
absolutely.
That's enough for me.
Yeah.
To watch this highly ranked quarterback who does have a lot of talent. Just see how he comports himself on August 3rd.
Yep.
I mean, that's enough for me.
All right. Have a good weekend. I appreciate the conversation today, the laughter and the insight.
Well, I always do too. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
It's Stephen M. Sipple,
a raw dogger.
No, this is a thing that has started.